Okay, so this Nashorn video, we're going to install the driver's hatch, or the driver's position here. Want to start out by just using some kind of straight edge to fold these sides over. Because you want them to be folded accurately. Okay. Now, there may be a little bit of like a delamination effect along the bottom edges. You can kind of trim that off if you want. It does help it to glue down nice and flat. Take some straight glue. And just put it along these leading edges on the bottom here. And as usual, make sure that the piece is over folded so that it's not going to spring out of shape. And just put a little bit of glue along the very back edge here. Pop the back edge into position. And then modify the front that you're coming so you can't see the blue lines anymore, but just barely can't see them. And it should end up that this comes off almost pretty much at the same plane as the gun platform. A little bit lower, but not much at all. Pretty much exactly the same level. I've got some round, these are 7mm hole punch discs, and they are punched out of cue card paper. I'm just going to install those one on the top of the piece that we just placed on. And one basically right beside it. Okay, now take a piece of paper, just regular paper, cut a small square out of it, and place some straight glue right along this leading edge here. Just slap that on there. Let that dry a bit. And then we'll just trim that off when it's nice and dry. Now, this piece here goes on the front of that when it's trimmed. So we take the opportunity now to cut this off. And you don't have to leave these little blue symbols on there. In fact, don't leave those on there because it just kind of shows you until it's cut out where you're going to put hinges. When this is dried sufficiently, you should be able to easily trim it. Now, I haven't really waited long enough, so I recommend you wait longer than this. But I would like to finish here. It doesn't take long, but I would wait 5 minutes or something like that before trying actually to do that. But I did alright. Now I want to install that little square bit right in the center of that. There's a pokey proddy thing here to adjust its position. Just kind of center it nicely. And take a bit of cue card paper and again cut a tiny little strip, maybe 1 millimeter wide. Try to match its length to the length of these pieces. Looks like about 3 millimeters to me. And just whatever you do, try to cut them the same as each other, even if they're a little bit off. As they match each other, it will look fine. Those into place here. Now if they don't look like they're sitting level with the top, that's what you want to adjust. So there. There we go. There is a little handle on each of those hatches that I usually make from cue card paper as well. And a hinge, which I would make from regular paper. Now you can make the handle out of a thicker material. Sometimes I make it out of cardboard. So just cut as thin of a piece as you can. Cut 2 millimeter long chunk out of it. Install those. You can see on the original template, right in the center, toward the top, is where that piece goes. Now that you've put the discs on, you can't see that anymore, but you can see it on the original template, or before you glue down the discs. There is supposed to be a handle. And just take a regular piece of paper and cut a maybe 2 millimeter wide strip, and then cut that into squares basically, or marginal rectangles. So slightly longer than it is wide. Put those on as hinges here and here. I recommend like flattening them down so that it looks like they kind of change levels. Make them a little bit more hinge-like on the final product. Okay, and there's some really, really, really small hinges. I'm going to just use this strip I cut before. Cut little squares out of it, or marginal rectangles rather. These are even a little bit wide, but I'm not going to worry about that. It's very hard to cut something this thin. I just install those. That piece, and again use your positioner and press them in. And you might want to, once this is all dry and you've put a layer of hardener, just take a knife or something like that and cut a little trench here. Aid painting slightly, but be very careful and just kind of put a tiny bit of pressure on that little zone there, and it will make painting a little bit better. You can also do that with a pencil. Just kind of jam the pencil lead there and move it back and forth, and you'll create. But you definitely want to let this harden, or else you'll push this piece of paper in, and you don't really want to do that. So throw a layer of 2-to-1 glue on before you really start trying to do that kind of modification. And that gets us to the end of the video. We've got a driver's hatch and fighting compartment. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. Subscribe to the website, blah blah blah. Bye bye.